fun with the writing because, last week's writing was a little deep. You were writing about the virus, and this time we get to have a little fun. So, the world of features. So, as you can see in these pages here, this is the introduction. What what would you write about if you're doing a feature? You can do food, fashion. Let's see, we live in a diverse culture, so there's no single subject that would be a feature. Um, let's see, you can take a big city, usually big city papers like the Washington Post, the New York Times. Here they have the Detroit Free Press. And out of roughly 200 writers, editors, designers, and photographers in its newsroom, roughly 40 are devoted to primarily to producing features like those at the right. So these are kind of pretty. These are like you really get to go more in depth into the topic. You can do lifestyles, which is about you explore issues of trends and issues and how it affects your mind and body and your spirit. Um, you can do something about health, how wine is good for your heart, how much sunscreen you need, and why you belch. Readers, oh, you know what? There was one about why we fart too. Just thinking about that. Why we fart and the importance of that, your gut health. Readers want help improving their health, whether it's dieting, exercise, or medical news, all of which result from science and technology, which you could, if you want to research viruses right now, that would be a really cool article. Entertainment. It's something if you're into movies and you like concerts, you like go to festivals, restaurants, people loves stuff in your face, so that's always a good one. Food, you can always bake it, or grow it, and people love their food these days. Home and gardens, if you're into your home, you could talk about what it takes to make a good home. Kids, seniors, golf, bowlers, pet owners, you name it. So I like this page. Turning over to page 117 here, they have the hard news and soft news, and what do those terms mean? You know, I'm just going to go over this real quick. Hard news is, um, this building caught on fire and 3 died. Those kind of stories. But the soft news is more of, on the other hand, a story about the Rose Princess shares her makeup secrets. It's a fluffier kind of story. Um, see a profile of Leaky the Clown, hard and soft are relative terms that describe the topic of the story. So, um, 3 killed as stage collapses at beauty pageant. Now, that could be written as a hard topic or a soft topic. It could be made kind of funny and lighthearted, and that could be soft news, or it could be, the beauty pageant died that later that night. That would be hard news. 10 types of feature stories that are popular. Personality profile. A lot of times in school, maybe some of your friends have done this project. They might go and interview one of their professors because that's usually really easily accessible, and they'll tell you about their career or whatever, and you write up some facts and quotes and something about them. But you can profile anybody that you think is interesting. Human interest story. That's also nice. You can unleash your storytelling skills if you really like to write. And you set a scene and you describe the characters and you capture a mood, like you really put yourself there, make me see that person there. Maybe it's some great fisherman that catches fish, and you just talk about his life. A color story. Color, number 3, means the flavor or mood. It's a type of piece you write when you're asked to attend an event, a parade, a strike, a funeral, a disaster, and you capture experience by interviewing participants and describing the sight and sounds. Backgrounder. Oh, this is called an analysis piece. And the research and interviews, you focus on the issue or event in the news, explaining how it happened and why it matters. So you give a little more background about why, so people can really understand what really happened, maybe about the history. A trend story. Now, this is always fun. It's more engaging than a background or a social problem. You can bring up shoes, the hottest place to eat. You can talk about this is something we all like. Entertainment, gossip, something like that. Maybe we can do something about Cardi B or one of the rappers. A reaction piece is when news breaks on dramatic issue, it confronts the community and it's a reaction story. It provides a sampling of opinions from experts, victims, and even ordinary folks. So it provides a way for the key players to tell their side of the story. So I'm going to say that a lot of times in news can lean towards propaganda, and sometimes in network news it always the same story. Often the same story is carried from network to network. And a lot of times reaction pieces come out of news that are more independent, such as an organization I work with in Minneapolis is more independent, and you have a little more room to express more opinion and get more opinions of people. Flashback commemorative, like in 2000 at the City Hall or 9/11, for an example. You tell why the event was important and you talk about why we should remember it. A how to, that's always fun. You could talk about how to's right now are really popular right now during this pandemic because people are sitting at home and they're looking for stuff to do. So, like a how to, like right now, I'm thinking about planting a little garden in the front, and I want to do it really cheap and easy. So I might look up a how to, like something maybe an article or something, how to quit smoking, invest money, anything like that. That's a popular article. Consumer guide. Let's say you're in the market for a number 9, a new computer, or a new car. Whenever I have to spend a chunk of money on something, I usually do a lot of research and find out consumer guides. And so this is like the cheapest shoes, what to expect, where to get good pizza in town. And then this one's number 10 is a personal narrative. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't see many of these around. Editors discourage these stories written in the first person, like there was face to face Bigfoot, there I was. I mean, you have to be a pretty strong writer and be in the right situation to tell that. Okay, let's move on to 118, generating your story ideas. Now, the first thing I'm going to add to this idea is that we always tell the story of what? The story that we know best. So, what if, say, you're passionate about hip hop and you love a certain rapper, you love sports and you love this certain player, or let's say you are an artist and you have been drawing all your life and you know something about art. That's going to be, in my opinion, the best story that you will ever tell. Instead of trying to reach over the aisle somewhere and grab another story, you're going to tell a much richer story, the ones that you know. So, according to the Complete Idiot's Guide, the 4 best angles for stories are how to save time, how to save money, how to be loved, and how to make money. We all want to make money. So, let's see. Let me scroll through here. So, where do you find great but elusive stories? Let me just read through this. No, need good story ideas. Surefire can't miss crowd pleasing story ideas. Do what every smart feature writer does. Start making a list. So you look for ideas everywhere you go and then jot them down in your notebook, in your computer, on napkins, matchsticks, or just collect dozens, hundreds. Sometimes maybe you could just have an idea box, an idea. Let me get an idea. So that you always have ideas. Many of them will never pan out despite your best efforts. They'll be too dull, too dumb, or too difficult to do. Organize your ideas by topics, people, places, trends, or by treatments, profiles, and make timely or seasonal ideas on your calendar. Maybe, maybe I'd like to plant azaleas, start from there. The best idea often pop up unexpectedly, so keep scanning your horizons with your journalistic radar and your publications archive. Stay abreast on local people, trends, future stories. Now, let's see, what else? Always be aware of your competitors. I always say, don't write the same article somebody else did last week. That's going to make you look a little silly. Always be looking, read all the time. Be a voracious reader. Look at TV magazines, websites, new releases, what's coming out. Just be aware of what's coming out. Reader suggestions. Maybe your reader might say, you might get an idea that way. Brainstorming with your friends, your colleagues. So I like this little chart right here about the create an idea map, which I think really makes a difference. If some of you are visual, you'll probably appreciate this. I definitely get this. Okay, you got everything? Questions? All right, let's move on to page 119 here. So say you got a good idea. Let's see right here, they're going to do something about carpenter ants. We have lots of ants moving around these days. So the first thing you want to do is see if it's been done. Don't copy something because I might have seen it like a week before and go, what are they doing now? Oh my goodness, I wonder. And you don't want your reader to do that too. And focus your angle, because some of these topics are so broad that sometimes you make it too hard and it's just too much. You're overwhelmed by it. Students get overwhelmed. Really narrow it down. Every reporter is full of ideas doomed to become dull, unreadable stories, because those ideas are half-baked, too predictable, too fuzzy. Smart writers know how to zero in on an idea, play with it, spin it into something fresh. Ask yourself, what is the most compelling way to tell this story? What's the cleverest way to hook the reader? How do I make this information as useful and as engaging as possible? I'm just going to keep rolling. You can read the rest of this. So talk to your editor. You'll be talking to an editor, and you're going to have to pitch your story, and you're going to have to, get the thumbs up from your editor and tell him or her what you're going to write about. The other key thing is research, research, research. Do your research. So research comes from where? It comes from phone calls, interviews, libraries, though they're not open now. Fact supportive. Make sure you tell your facts. Also, many a good story has been ruined by over verification. The truth takes you somewhere that you didn't. Okay, all right. Well, that's me. Fairness and accuracy. Just do your research. So here is this right here. Oh, okay, yeah. So I think this is really cool. This is the article that we're talking about here. Is a feature article that appeared about attack of the carpenter ants. And I guess somebody asked a question about ants. What are they? They wanted to know a little more about how ants work, And I love the graphic here on this piece. I love the way they do the artwork on here, and the lettering. They've got the ants crawling all over. It makes the whole story. And then where ants are involved in the house, reducing your risk of infestations, because I guess ants can take over your story. So by now you know how long it should be, when it's due, and the package. So go write. And then I'm going to suggest, as we've learned in our critiques in class, that sometimes once we write, we got to rewrite and rewrite some more, because your first edit, you just slam something out, it's not going to be quite right. You can always rewrite it and make it better. So turn your research into checklists, fact boxes, short copy blocks that dovetail with informational graphics. And as you work, your colleagues may have last-minute corrections, additions, and deletions. But the biggest questions still await: how well did your ideas score with readers? What clicked? What bombed? The best writers. Find ways to evaluate the success of every story, relentlessly asking, how can I do better next time? Don't we all do that? So then the next thing you're going to do is start planning your package. Now, when you guys do your feature article, I would really like you to take a crack at trying to make something pretty and see if you can make some pictures and something that looks really nice. So it's going to be you. But normally, if you're working with a team, you're going to be working with other people there. You're going to be working with some graphic artists at the team on the paper. You might be working with some other people. But then again, you might be a solo artist and you might be just doing your own blog for a company. So it's good to know how to do this kind of stuff. So moving on to page 120, feature style. Now, this is I like this because it makes me think of some of you in the class that will like this, like JJ's kind of funny. We've got Mr. Jalen. I don't know. All of you are kind of funny, but you might like this. Some stories require a looser, livelier, more literary voice. And so you go back to the 60s, and there was a reporter named Tom Wolfe. He's also a famous author, too. As you know, many authors were also newspaper journalists. So, so his trademark was a white suit, and he got fed up with pale beige tone and standard news writing. So he didn't want to write in the nut graph anymore. So readers were bored to tears. He said, "This has nothing to do with objectivity or subjectivity or taking a stand. It has a matter of it was a matter of personality, energy, drive, and bravado. Style is a word." So Wolfe began bending and breaking the rules in stories with titles like "There Goes Va Vroom" and "That Candy-Colored Tangerine Flake Streamlined Baby," "Around the Bend, Broom." So successful was Wolfe's feature writing style and the styles of such colleagues as Hunter S. Thompson and Gay Talese that Wolfe dubbed it the new journalism. What was so new about it? Well, mainly, reporters began borrowing forward literary techniques from novelists. Realistic dialogue, vivid reconstruction of actual scenes that were, and viewed through the eyes and minds of the characters while recording everyday details, clothing, furnishings, gestures, poses that contain the most symbolic resonance. The new journalism is old news nowadays, but successful feature writers still rely on literary techniques that we won't find in the standard news stories. So this could be interesting if you really like to write and you want to really jump in and find your voice. There are some examples. You may want to look online through newspapers and find some examples of new journalism and how that writing goes and see how if that fits you. When you write a news story, it's like about fire, there's different ways of writing voice and tone. You might want to read over these examples here on page 120. I'm going to keep on moving, guys. All right, so helpful tips for successful feature writing. You write tightly, keep it short. Select only the liveliest quotes. I'm sure all your quotes are lively, but just pick the best ones. Vary your sentence structure. So, like when we were doing the pyramid, you have a certain sentence structure and everything's sort of a certain way. You can be a little freer with this. Match the treatment to your topic. Don't inflict a frivolous tone upon a serious issue. Try to enhance and complement your subject, not overwhelm it. Don't overdo it. Yes, it's fun to write colorfully, but sometimes it's like wearing a clown suit and a red nose. And they look at me, just tone it down and don't make your prose the center of the attention. And speaking of self-indulgence, avoid first-person stories. Yeah, in writing, I think that in news, writing a first-person story, it comes off like the opinion page, and that's very risky. Stay objective. So if you're writing to and serve and inform the reader, not to cheerlead, ridicule, or editorialize. Now there are editorials, you can write that. So also if you're talking to someone, either record, I usually would use a recorder or do shorthand so that you can get down what people are saying. It's better to record. And find your voice. And read. Definitely read. So when you start doing this project, I would definitely say read, and look up and research as much as you can. Detail and descriptions. other dramatic technique. Look over page, let's see, this page, the rest of this page, 121. Bam. Oh, that's kind of fun. You might want to look over that page here. Okay, so this is the page that I want you to look over too, is feature story structure. Suppose you're writing a feature story for Valentine's Day. Should you organize your text into a traditional structure or a short form package? Okay, so folks, I'm not going to read all of this. This is the nut graph, and this is like different ways you can lay it out. I want you to read this and to study it. There's no reason nobody should not have read this. It's available. I'll show you where to get it. Okay, news feature lead, short form story structures. Now look at this. Isn't this gorgeous? Like they asked, they did a story about the perfect kiss as a Valentine's thing. Like, so they put some of their information here, and then they write more of their article on the other side. Look over that. That's really interesting. Okay, and just to show you real quick. Going on to Blackboard here. Oops. So you're going to click on news writing here. Yeah. And then right up here, you see right here, assignments, courses, content. Go up here because everything for this course is in assignments, content. Come all the way down to the bottom, and right here is your pages that you will be reading. So come down here. Everybody should be reading that. That is your work this week. Your assignment is to be reading this, okay? And we'll have an assignment by the end of the week, but that's all I want you to be doing right now. And be thinking about what kind of feature article. Oh, right here, you have to click it here, and it'll come up, okay? So I want you to be thinking about what kind of feature article that you would like to write. And like I said, we're going to go over the rest of the chapter. I'll do more tomorrow, but I want you to think about what would you like. And I'm going to give you about 2 weeks to work on it. So I want you to come up with something really, really good, okay? So see you soon. This is part 1. See you later. Ta-ta.